Good morning, Ash. Thank you so much for making time to talk about this beautiful new show at Eight Wall Gallery, Gravity System Response. I thought I might start off by asking about the title. I know it's an ongoing title in your practice, and I thought maybe that's a good point to start. How did you come up with this idea of the Gravity System Response?
Thank you, Seb. I really appreciate you being here. And the title itself, Gravity System Response, is an ongoing title for both the work and the exhibitions of the paintings themselves.
Yeah.
Year to year, I paint a number of works that are shown or not shown under this kind of title, which was born, I guess, based off of many years before, a decade ago, starting the series.
Yeah.
Painting with fire extinguishers, using both water and paint coming out of those, and the falling of the paint, the mixture of the water, like on an exaggerated level with gravity, being something that I kind of really connected with.
Yeah.
Brought back into my practice years later with this exploration, I guess, knowing as well like what other painters have done with this type of art making in the studio over centuries long. And yeah, for me, I guess the systems is related to physics, natural systems, and
kind of chance as well too, right? Yeah, and I think that's a really beautiful aspect of your practice, that it sort of embraces the kind of the nature of things, and I think scale is a really interesting thing in your work, because obviously you've done like enormous kind of paintings, and then down to sort of intimate, small kind of paintings, like the ones that are on display here. But you sort of attack both of those with the same kind of gusto, whether it be 40 meters or a meter. There's that kind of energy in there. And we were talking earlier about how much time you spend when you're painting, particularly kind of outdoors, considering things like light and the transitions of light, and then how that informs the studio practice. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, colour in all forms, whether it's kind of natural in many respects, or it's already amongst human construction, whether it's advertising, whether it's in the digital realm, like other painters, how they've used colour. Everything is equal, I think, as much as taking daily inspiration from the purity of colour, dawn, dusk, and around that. So I don't kind of I never want to kind of say that this is where it's all drawn from.
Yeah. Yeah, because different things, it might be a colour of a car, or it might be, a film.
That car interacts with the colour that's going past.
The juxtaposition of colours. Yeah. And this is really a perfect show, first show for this space, because the gallery is so beautiful in the sense that it has these amazing kind of skylights, and it's sort of open to natural light. So I've been here in the night time under the artificial kind of lights, and then in the daytime, just seeing shadows move through and light move through across the works is a real joy. And you have that sort of sense of the kind of outside world coming into the space and looking at light. So I think it's very complementary to the works.
No, totally. I mean, look, in between taking a few of these paintings from their first layering in December, January, February last year, where several works were completed, several didn't feel resolved enough. I made a few very large-scale canvases in the studio, and then they were installed on billboards in natural light on country, like actually halfway to Sydney on the Hume. And it's amazing how in the studio I felt like it was light, a light palette enough, but as soon as you put it under the brightness of daylight, apart from the fact that it changes across 3 or 4 distinct kind of palettes through the day. When it's at its brightest, you know, what you think is like a kind of a well-balanced tone in the studio, very soft and like bright, out in the light of day, I guess, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that Australia's kind of famous for, and I think that sort of really came to the head in the 70s with all the film production that we were doing. That the uniqueness of this light here, and I guess the kind of intensity of this light versus the United States or Europe, we have this really beautiful light. But I wanted to talk more about ideas of country, because that's something that's very important to you. And we were sort of talking before. I mean, a lot of people, when they talk about country, they're thinking of like rural areas or deserts and things like that, within this continent. But of course, country is everywhere. Everywhere. We're here in beautiful Paddington. At the bottom of a huge kind of ridge near Rushcoe's Bay, near water, and there's all environmental factors. Even here in kind of inner city location, or in Melbourne, where you're from. Has that been an enjoyable thing for you? That kind of process of having a consideration of country and using that as a starting point for the works.
Totally. I mean, always, and it's changed through my lifetime, like an awareness. I mean, when I was a child, like I was limited, like many of my age, like to be kind of educated properly.
Yeah.
But I'd seen books about Dreamtime, ones that were able to kind of show the magic of rainbow surfing.
Yeah.
What happened, so I knew that there was some sort of
meta
spiritual, magic around like where I was born.
Yeah.
But also, Fred Williams-esque.
It's an important thing. I think, like a lot of people confuse the kind of acknowledgement of country or welcome of country as some kind of like declaration of ownership, but really it's an invitation to kind of walk in tune with the country that you're in, and that's something beneficial to all of us, and I think that your works highlight those kind of aspects, that beauty of the light that we have here, and the sort of kaleidoscopic nature. And it's a joy to spend time looking at these works in this beautiful space, and it's immediately kind of apparent to visitors that connection between light and the work. So it's a real joy. Ash Keating, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.